What's up, guys? I just want to give this free promo to Spar Soap. Spar Soap is our sponsor of this video and of this podcast, as well as my other two YouTube channels. Psst, you can find that in the links in the description box down below if you want to check them out. But anyways, here is their Thank you, Sparso, for much appreciated to you guys. As always, links in the description box down below if you guys want to check them out. And you should, especially if you're in the martial arts or lifting like me, and you don't know what you're touching. You could be in the gym touching other people's sweat and other stuff like that. So I highly suggest getting Sparso and washing yourself with that at least once a day, mainly because it helps fight ringworm. It is organic. I don't know if it's gluten-free or not, but it's definitely organic and made here in the greatest country in the world, at least in my opinion, the United States of America. But yeah, definitely check them out. As always, check them out in the links down below. But anyways, here is episode 13. Hopefully you guys like it. Now, what's up, guys? Welcome back to our 13th, my favorite number, episode on this podcast. If you didn't see episode 12, it's kind of like that, where we're going to be talking about how technology has changed because of COVID. And today, as you can see, is not the bat because he's still busy doing his own stuff. But we got a guest on the show, my good friend from college, Pranav, who is currently working at Microsoft and is a computer science, has his master's in comp sci. And yeah, let's have a conversation. So, Pranav, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Rhino. Thanks for having me on. Well, let me clear the record. Yeah, I was with Microsoft. I am working with TCS currently as a software engineer. Yes, master's in computer science with a bachelor's in the same field. Yeah, I'm pretty ramped up, pretty eager to discuss how technology has kind of had a bit of a paradigm shift because of COVID, and and some say that it's for the worse. I say it's for the better. And I guess it's really for the viewership to decide which side of the argument that they fall on. Uh, Being in the technology industry for about 5 years, I really don't have much experience really to say, but yes, the way things are done for sure, and the way that technology has been impacted, definitely there is a clear shift. There is a clear way, and some people are not able to really get up to speed. But maybe this episode can help them clear up and really give them this idea of how they should get up to speed, or what are some things that they can do right out the bat.
Cool. So I guess let's start with the first question. How did you end up in computer science?
I ended up in computer science from it was one of those, I would say, brown kid decisions that I would have to say. And I say brown kid very lightly, because a lot of times when you say it's a brown kid decision, everyone thinks, oh, your parents must have forced you to go into engineering or become, an engineer or anything like that. I just want to be on record to say, no, it really wasn't because of them. I mean, there was a a future, aspiration of mine, because my father, who just retired from the MTA, from the Metropolitan Transit Authority, after
First,
serving 32 years as an electrical engineer.
I'm gonna just take a pause right here and say, first of all, congratulations to your father for retiring after spending over 3 decades with the MTA.
Yeah,
So,
thank you. I'll let him know. And when I was a kid, the whole concept of this whole idea of bring your kid to work day seemed to be really cool for me.
yeah,
So I was hoping like that I studied engineering because I loved robotics, and there were many home videos. I mean, some of them are really embarrassing to show, but for my mom, they
Okay,
would be
let's see
really.
them now. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Of course, anyone would like to see them. Yeah, I can definitely dig them up. But when I was a kid, I was 2 or 3. I'd have this huge fire truck, and I would just like push it back. There would be videos of me just sprawling all over the apartment floor, and I would have the fire engine tilted onto one side. I would just spin one set of wheels, and I'd just be staring in amazement. So I guess that's where it all started. So if it moved, if it shook, if it made a noise, if it could, you know, glow sky blue, pink, green, whatever color you want to think of on the rainbow, it had my attention. So that's where my love of technology came in. And over the course of me growing up, I said, oh, I wanted to go into aerospace. I wanted to go into, maybe be an engineer for NASA one day, work on robotics. So middle school and high school come along, and I'm actually a member of the high school robotics team. So that was my first foray into technology, and I loved it. The chance to be competing on possibly an international or national scale with a free field trip, no homework for the day. Um, that was kind of some of the perks with it, but then little did I know how much I would stick with it throughout.
Right.
Um, and then fast forward to NYIT, where, believe it or not, shout out to the Bears, who are 2016 Vex Robotics World Robot Skills Champion
Right.
team. And I personally had the chance to mentor an elementary school team that's in Coral Place, right here in New York.
Mhm.
Um, where in their first year we competed, we got really lucky, we made it all the way to Louisville, Kentucky for Vex Worlds in our very
Nice.
first year, and that I thought was amazing. I mean, that was coming from more of a teaching side, because even after I graduated high school, I always spent time going back and mentoring. And then now I'm in a unique position here, with TCS. Fast forward a couple of jobs here and there, to be able to actually go from Microsoft to now going into healthcare, with Humana, and now
Nice.
that's going to be my next project actually. Hopefully going to be
Nice.
starting this week, and you'll see that technology runs everything. A bit of a plug here as well. For those who think that the technologists and programmers really don't have much of a say, um, I hope that you watch a couple of videos that are done, a couple of lectures done by the name of Uncle Bob, who has been a well-known coder.
Uncle
And
Bob's the gangster in this project.
yes, Uncle Bob is the OG. And I started watching Uncle Bob's lectures because I actually wanted to learn how to write clean code. And Uncle Bob gives it to you straight. Programmers, we have the ability of running the goddamn world, okay?
Mhm.
From whatever the hell you see on the Zoom call today or the Zoom stream
Or
to
if you listen
your
to this on like Spotify or somewhere else.
exactly, not only that, but we have the ability of not just saving lives, not just helping humankind. Excuse my language. There might be a couple of expletives being thrown around here, but
It's
we
fine. We can cuss on the show. I don't mind.
but
If you
but
if
on
you if you've seen or heard any of my previous podcasts, I cuss all the time, so don't worry.
okay, because honestly, we have this ability that is one of the most the underestimated
Hey,
capabilities
Pranav,
that we have.
I do apologize for cutting you off, but there was a little bit of a technology glitch, so you got cut off for a little bit.
No worries. Yeah, I saw it on my side too.
Right.
No, but what I was saying is, in a nutshell, we have the ability of not only helping humanity but fucking humanity over. And that
So
is a very powerful statement, but a very accurate statement as well.
so
Um,
basically,
and
you're
there
saying,
are
to paraphrase Nas, engineers rule the world.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think that it's the politicians or it's the medics. No, I mean,
we,
you
we
know,
tear
it,
down the politicians if we chose to.
yes, I mean, especially as programmers. And there are a couple of reasons why, and I have a couple of anecdotes to prove that fact. There were five in 2009, right? There were five Iranian students that were able to
Right.
intercept commands from a remote location in Mesa, Arizona, that was supposedly piloting a drone that was on a covert mission where the drone was worth $3 billion. That's
I
nothing.
remember hearing about
Now
that.
that drone had a 30 million, yeah, a $30 million warhead
Yeah.
attached to it. It was more of a remote search and destroy mission. Five Iranian students, college students at that, were able to intercept commands between a remote location somewhere in the United States and this drone that's on its way to Iran. And these five Iranian students were able to turn that damn drone around, and within a spacebar semicolon character, we're two characters away from pressing the fire button without even the pilot knowing. They went
Oh.
to, yeah, and they had told, yeah, they had told the United States that they want $250 million in ransom for that, to return the control of the drone back to the US. Now, if that doesn't, scare you shitless, I have one more. This was done, research has been done, this is public docket. Research has been done by folks at NYIT, where you plug your phone into the outlet at LAX, JFK,
One of these major airports.
DXB, any, doesn't matter, any major, minor, any third party airport.
Right.
With 100% accuracy, they can tell where the hell you've been on the internet.
Hold up. Wait a minute. The fuck?
I'm not kidding you. Okay, I'm not kidding you. There has been publicly there has been published verified research done at NYIT that says you short out, okay, every single phone cable has really like three major wires inside of it. Doesn't matter if you're an iPhone user, an Android user, if you're a Windows phone user, no matter what. Or even if you're an iPad user, because this still applies here. If you short out the data component and still use the two power, there's like three or four. There's one for ground, one for data, and then two for positive and negative, like power to go back.
Right.
You short out the data, let's say you short out the data. You short out the data thing on the actual charger, and you plug your phone in, and you can have automated tests, right, where you can trigger the phone to go open up Chrome or open up Safari. You can tell it to go to Facebook, YouTube. When you go to these web pages, what actually happens behind the scenes is the fact that you will activate a location sensor, you can activate NFC, you can activate your data, of course, because you have to fetch the data from somewhere.
Right.
If they look at it over time and they look at it where they take an exact same setup in a different part of NYT campus, they run the same experiments, power signatures match with 100% accuracy. So if somebody was to be in a different country, come in and try to compromise the United States electrical grid, and you innocently go ahead and start plugging in your phone to a power outlet somewhere, yeah, you might be charging your phone, but guess what? Your data is also being gone in the process. So it's a two-way. So be careful.
It's a two-way street.
And now more than, yeah, it is. Everything is a two-way street, right? So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
now nowadays, even with this current COVID crisis, where technology has definitely been impacted, and everyone's doing this work from home, yeah, it's great. But at the same amount of time, if you see every single data point that's been published, whether you're in Washington State or in New York or you're down south in Florida, um, chances are you're presenting yourself wide open to be attacked. The United States gets hacked more than any country in the world. And right now, this is going to be on public. it's gonna go on record, but it's like you have to really secure not just your own physical borders, but you have to look at yourself from a digital perspective as well. You have to secure your digital borders too.
Right. So I'm just trying to talk out loud here. If, like you said, the U.S. government, U.S. economy, basically every American is being hacked left, right, and center, why or is the government doing anything about it? Like, are they hiring more computer scientists, more data hackers, or whatever the right verbiage is to prevent like the top secret DoD level like classified thing from becoming Wikipedia leaks?
Well, they are. I mean, what has some of the measures, and I think it's kind of it's quite apt to bring this up. Satya Nadella, the current CEO of Microsoft, has
Right.
been making a consistent push to bring into light these concepts of machine learning, artificial intelligence that are really one and the same. And last year at Build, I was actually in Washington at the office when he made this huge announcement. Microsoft has released and open sourced an SDK called Election Guard.
Right.
Now, this Election Guard SDK, for those who can take a look at it, is available on GitHub,
Mm-hmm.
and you can probably Google that, and maybe that link could be in the description below. If you guys are interested in it, what it does in a nutshell is it actually does an end-to-end verification of every single vote that counts.
Okay, so just to
And
back up a little bit, for those who don't know what end to end is, what is end to end?
so end-to-end basically means from the source to the destination. So when they say end-to-end in terms of, and that's a great question. So when people say, "Oh, I want to test your application end to end," they mean that from the time that your application starts to the time that someone is supposed to be done using your application, that's what it's meant by end to end. Whether it could be an app, like an app, for example, Flappy Bird or Super Mario Kart or Fortnite or anything like
Pokemon
that.
Go. Sorry, I think that's something. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. I know you had to do that. Um, Anything that you see on a machine or a mobile device of some sort goes through rigorous testing even before it hits the marketplace. And one of those forms is end to end, meaning from the time that the app starts, they'll have a set of criteria against which you would say, okay, does the app start, let's say, within 5 seconds? If it starts within 5 seconds, then okay, test case number one passes. And things like that, where I've actually had to build a few of these apps. And when I was with Microsoft, I actually was part of the Microsoft Teams organization. Teams being one of the more predominant role players in this whole work from home shift, and being a competitor to Zoom as well as to WhatsApp and Google Meet, has actually been a leader so far ever since well, not really ever since its inception, until Teams arrived. Prior to that, you had players like Zoom, Slack, and really that's Teams' biggest competition is Slack. And at one point, I think in 2019, last summer, there was a daily active download metric where um, Teams was beating Slack by a factor of 13 to 1.
That's
Yeah,
a big margin.
yes. And also in that same time frame last year, around, I think it's this time, around this month, in
Right.
August of 2019, they had about 100 million monthly active users on Teams.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and it's skyrocketed. Um, so yeah, that's basically a whole landscape right now when it comes to technology.
Right.
And going back to the question about is the government hiring? Everyone is hiring. You look at Microsoft, you look at TCS, you look at any and every technology company that is using some some web services, be it AWS using, S3s, Lambdas, and stuff like that, or using something that's, Microsoft Azure based, using, storage accounts, blob storage, in ML.net or something like that, they're hiring. So,
Right.
the world is your oyster. All I would say is people that are in the CS field right now, get up off your behinds and start learning again. Because if you don't learn, you're really behind the eight ball.
I think that's true for not only CS, computer science, computer engineers, but like everybody. Like even if you're like a medical doctor, you should be constantly learning about the latest techniques in, I don't know, surgery or something like that.
Oh, 100%. And actually, not to mention, thing is that, even when it comes to the medical industry, the way that um, things are being done, let's say you go to your doctor, you're not feeling well. In the state of New York, all the prescriptions are to be filed electronically now. That you're not
I think
supposed to
that's
be even.
true. I to the audience, if you're living in California, I think the same thing applies out here too.
Yeah, and so that's just one example. That's really like a very minute example, and as to how things just change, not just overnight, but over the course of a year, 2 years, you will see that you no longer would have to go into a and nowadays, as soon as I was living in Seattle, now I'm here in New York. As soon as I landed in New York, about that first weekend, which was July 4th, my parents are like, just to make sure that everything's all, is all kosher and all that, just go ahead and get COVID tested. I was thinking to go walk up. It's like, nope, you have to go up to a freaking iPad and sign in and register there. And then the person will call you in once everything is completed. So, that's again another microcosm of how technology and COVID and everything like that has just been, has been impacting the way we do things.
Right. So, kind of going back to an earlier statement that you said about how you can hack your phone from sitting at your desk in Dubai, and you can hack a guy's cell phone from in like San Francisco or whatever. How would someone like me or whoever else like protect their data and make sure that things don't get out quickly or accidentally?
So protection against any kind of cyber attack really goes, it's almost like treating, I'm going to draw a good analogy here with COVID, right? You are the most, you are you as a person are the biggest variable for anything, be it getting into an accident or even having your own data leaked. And and combine that with common sense, it's like the best barrier. So what does that mean? Anytime that you use a service that supports MFA, or for those that are not techies, but what MFA means is multi-factored authentication. So it's not only that you use your password, and not only should you be changing it every so often. If you're using a platform service like GitHub, where it's open source and your code's completely there on the internet, um, it's fine. But when you log into GitHub, you would not only use your password, you would also use an authentication code. Um, Same thing that happens across different companies as well. Like you would, if you want to access your own personal data, not only would you have your own password that you would create, but you'd also be given a maybe a 6-digit or 9-digit code every single time that would change, maybe every 36 or 60 seconds.
Okay.
That's one way. And using of course, anytime you want to access other data and stuff like that, you can use a VPN to do it. But then that only gives another attack surface for a hacker, where once the VPN gets compromised, then you're equally screwed over. So
GG, good luck.
yeah. So anytime, and again, it's with common sense, right? With COVID, they say wash your hands, stay 6 feet away from others, wear a damn bloody mask. you know um it's the same thing when it comes to protecting your data. You want to make sure you keep an eye out on things, especially when it comes to finances. You look at your account every day. Look at
Or at
what.
least you should be looking at your account every day or every other day. Just saying.
Exactly. Like just like that. and make sure that things are always on check. You know, always, and if you use a an app to manage your passwords, that's great. Make sure you always remember to change that master password, otherwise you end up having all of your data deleted.
I'm just
And
thinking right now, what happens if you forget your master password?
I have
I'm
managed
sorry, I'm
to.
just laughing here. I'm just like, you're
No,
just
no, that has
screwed as
happened to me
well.
once. No. You know, if you use applications like KeyPass or RoboForm, um, you can definitely use that to keep all of your passwords safe, and it would actually, in fact, fill those form fields in for you. Um, but at the same time, you still, it helps you to, um, you don't have to know so many passwords for so many different accounts. You just know one password, and you have everything else there.
Wait, what do you mean by safe? You mean like actually like military grade safe, or like, yeah, it's safe like pissing your pants in public kind of safe?
No. It's military grade safe where you have, it's almost like you're having your own dedicated server, you have your own dedicated storage basically to access your passwords. And of course, they will do decent, they have their own backups and their own ways of even encrypting the passwords as well, not just encrypting the location to where they are and encrypting the data values.
Yeah, all right, cool. So I guess like you have to be really safe with your shit basically, and be
You
careful
have
about
to be
not.
mindful and safe with your shit. That's the main takeaway.
Sorry, I probably was going to sneeze right there. That's why I put myself on mute. But anyways, well, I guess I mean, like, what would you say moving forward? Like, how technology would change post pandemic for any reason?
I mean, technology changes always. How is it? How can I predict the trends of technology? No. I mean, again, being in the tech industry for about 5 years or so, I really don't have a true handle on things. It's not like I'm definitely not an Adela or a Cook or a Bomb or any one of those folks to really say how what the trends are. But one thing is for sure is that you have to know you have to know, you have to stay on top. Read the news, read what's going on in the world of technology, and you would be able to survive that way.
Right. So I guess that'll be it for today's conversation. You got any last words?
Any last words? I mean, thanks for having me on, dude. I really do
Other
appreciate it.
than don't be stupid.
Well, other than don't be stupid, I mean, last words I would have to say would be that first and foremost, know what you're getting into. Second of all, um, read the fine print, which is a subset, was an offshoot of the first statement. And third is always read. Like, again, the last statement is an offset of the first two. It's read up on what's going on. Read up on how you can better your own skills, because um, now is the time you can learn. And you don't, and once things get back to its normalcy, and I hope it all does, you know, you won't have this time to really learn.
Right. I mean, like, I think I saw this quote on Facebook or something where if you're not, if it, I think it was by Value Team, and don't quote me on it, where it's like most people are sitting at home right now watching Netflix, cooking, not really doing a whole lot, like in the sense of getting money. So I think the quote went like, if this pandemic hasn't helped you figure out how to do e-marketing, then nothing will, or something like that. I forgot the
Yeah,
exact quote.
well, it's a fair statement to make. If you're not learning, you're really not growing. You're not making money.
Exactly. Like,
That's really the most succinct way of putting it. If you're not learning, you're not growing. If you're not growing, you're not making enough money. If you're not making enough money, then you're really sitting on your ass and hoping things come to you.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think there's a like, I know I have a lot of friends who are like anti-capitalistic governments and stuff like that, who are like, we have to tax every single billionaire like 100% or something like that, and like blah 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 blah. But I'm just thinking like, if I'm not again, I don't care. It's their opinion, not mine. So here, but at the same time, I'm just like, if you give a guy or a person who doesn't know how to make money or doesn't know how to spend their money wisely, then why are we giving everybody $2 million a piece? That's just my own thing.
You can also think of it as this way. If you give a man a fish, you feed him for the night. If you teach a man how to fish, he's fed for his entire damn lifetime.
Exactly. Like, I think again, this is my own personal opinion, but I think in high school, at least in the high school level, you're supposed to like teach students how to do like. I'm not saying like be an expert level coder or something like that, but like at least like the basic level of like coding, like hello world or like basically like Java 1 or C++1, like at the high school level, and like teach these students like, all right, this is how you write a check, this is how you like balance your checkbook and all, like have an account and all this stuff that makes people like fairly independent, kind of like more giving them more financial education.
Right, and you speak about the whole concept of finances. Yeah, it's in the same way. If you teach someone how to write code, at least you can get them to get the right basics down first. Apart from that, then they can go into college at least knowing how to write code and how to debug. half the half the battle when it comes to being a programmer is knowing how do you find the goddamn defect in the first place. Then the other half is knowing how to goddamn fix the damn thing that you found in the first place. that's
Exactly.
that's really where that's what it really boils down to at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where Japan, not Japan, sorry, Korea, South Korea, and Germany are like one of the best educational systems in the world. Where it's like, if you're not going to like engineering or medicine or law or like one of these like, lack of a better word, high tier jobs, you're going to like trade school. You're going to like something that's actually going to be like pushing the economy forward. I know the Germans have a specific word for it, blanking on the name of the word of that word. But like in my opinion, like I'm definitely gonna get heat for this, but like I don't see the point in getting a philosophy degree. Like, I don't see the point in getting an arts degree. I don't see the point in take
Well, getting an arts degree, you still have something to do. You still have a job to
no,
do, which is to still get people to give them this concept of like forgetting the rent for about a minute.
yeah.
But
That's the thing I'm saying. Like I don't see like spending thousands upon thousands of dollars going into like Harvard to get a BA in philosophy. I think you should get like kind of like similar to like an apprenticeship, like a carpenter's apprentice or something, where it's like you actually work and like learn how to do philosophy or how like different colors make like how affect art and all that stuff. Like again, that's just my own opinion of the educational system, but that's again just me.
again, yeah, it's definite that things have to be changed, but then you have to also be equally empowered to be the change that you want to see in the world. Taking a quote from Mahatma Gandhi here,
Yeah,
um, and and that's how you have to go about it. Otherwise, you're going up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. Everyone right now in this world is going up Schitt's Creek without a paddle. If you do not get up off your ass and do something, you know,
right.
when when people are getting furloughed and laid off, you can't be banking on other people that extend a hand. You know,
I mean, everyone's but like you said, everyone's up a creek without a paddle.
yeah, and you at the same time cannot really say, oh, I'm just gonna wait for a $1,200 check.
Yeah.
My view on that is, if you get a little bit of help, do something with that help.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot sit back and be complacent, because
Exactly.
that's the biggest trap of of yourself. You're really not showing that you can be the best versions of yourself.
Right. Well, I guess I'll end it here. But anyways, everyone who's watching and listening on YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you found this podcast, thank you for listening to us and watching us. If you're on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video on who you would like to see next. Also, thank you Sparso for sponsoring this video. Much appreciated, you guys. All links in the description box down below. Have a good one. See you in the next video. Peace.